All right, so for example 4 down here, we have to start with a beginning point. So I've got my beginning point, and I'm going to use a protractor to draw that primary angle. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, in order to use my protractor to draw that primary angle, I need to have kind of a guideline, I would call it. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw a really faint line right here. And I'm using that really faint line to help me out because I have to create a triangle with angle measures of 45 degrees, 45 degrees, and 90 degrees. Personally, I see that 90-degree angle and I'm like, okay, let's get started with that first. That's a right angle. So I'm going to line my protractor up, and I've got that line, that guideline to help me out. I'm going to go up to, actually 90 degrees is the only spot where these both are at 90 degrees, and I'm going to put a point at 90. And I'm going to go ahead and connect those 2 points. I'm going to make this kind of a faint line because I don't necessarily know how long this line needs to be. And I'm going to label that as my 90-degree angle. Now the next step tells me to measure the line segment if necessary. It's not telling me how long each of these line segments need to be, so it's not necessary to measure it. But number 4 says to draw the second angle at the end point. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this end point right here, where what I had used for my 90-degree angle, that dot that I created. I'm going to put my protractor on that point. I'm going to line it up with that guideline. And I'm going to count up 10, 20, 30, 40, up to 45 degrees. Put a dot there. And now when I connect that dot with my end point that I was most recently using, I'm going to draw a faint line again. And you can see I just created a triangle for myself. Mine's kind of faint because I didn't draw in those lines too dark quite yet. And then step 5 says to check all angle measures and side lengths. So I've already done this. This is 90 degrees. I created this angle at 45 degrees, so I know that that's 45 degrees. But now it's important, this third angle right here should also be 45 degrees. So I'm going to line this up right where they intersect, and I'm going to double check, and that angle in fact does wind up at 45 degrees. So I just created a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. So for question number 5, we have to draw a triangle with angle measures 65 degrees, 40 degrees, and 75 degrees. So step 1 is to start with the beginning point. So I'm going to go ahead and place a point here. And we're going to, for step 2, use that protractor to draw the primary angle. So I'm going to create a guideline for myself. And I'm going to start with my 75-degree angle first. So I'm going to line my protractor up, just as we practiced. I'm going to start at 0 up to 10 and go all the way up to that 75-degree angle and put a point right there. 75 degrees. I'm going to connect those 2 points. I'm going to do it with a faint line for most of it. And label that as a 75-degree angle. It says measure the line segment if necessary. It's not necessary here. So step 4, we have to draw the second angle at that end point. So I'm going to go to my end point right here. I'm going to line this up. And now I'm going to draw my 65-degree angle. So I'm going to go up to 60, 65. Whoops, and I see that I put my dot in the wrong spot actually. Instead of doing a 65-degree angle, I'm sorry guys, let's do that 40-degree angle first. I'm going to do 40 degrees instead down here. Whoops, can't see me. So I went to 40 degrees instead of that 65 degrees. I'm going to connect those 2 points. Label this as my 45-degree angle. And then it is important that I double check. This is my 75-degree angle. This is my, oh goodness, did I do a 45-degree angle? I was supposed to do 40, you guys. My goodness gracious. Instead of, since I've already drawn it in pen, go ahead and scribble out that 40 and write 45 in its place. And so because we added 5 here, we need to take away 5 here. We'll do 60. So we'll do 60 and 45 degrees. So now I need to check this third angle and make sure it is 60 degrees. So I'm going to line up my protractor and double check that that angle is about 60 degrees. That's about where my line would end up, is at that 60 there. All right, now we're going to go down to 6 and 7. And we've got a triangle, ABC. Angle A is 30 degrees. Angle B is 80 degrees. And the length of AB has to be 6 centimeters. So this time, we do have to measure that line segment. So I'm lucky my protractor has a ruler on it as well. But unfortunately, this is referring to centimeters, and most of you might not have both inches and centimeters on your protractor. I do. Got centimeters up here. You can see the cm. Got inches down here. So if you need to, you can pause the video and get anybody ruler as needed. And I'm going to start with my beginning point and my guideline. And I'm going to create angle A. That's 30 degrees. I'm going to make my line kind of faint here. I go to connect these. Remember, a 30-degree angle is nice and small, so that should be a pretty small angle. I'm going to label that 30 degrees, and that was angle A. That's 30 degrees. And now it wants the length of AB to be 6 centimeters. So I drew a line. I don't even know how long that line is. Now I actually have to measure that line. So I'm going to go ahead and line up angle A right here, right where my 0 is on my centimeter line. I'm going to line this up, my guideline, and I'm going to put a point right here at 6 centimeters. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and make that line nice and dark up until that 6 centimeter line, just so I know that's exactly where I hit that 6 centimeters. And this is a little bit of extra, I just don't need it. And I'm going to label that point B, because from A to B has to be 6 centimeters. And then last but not least, I'm going to create angle B at 80 degrees. So I'm going to go up to angle B. I'm going to create an 80-degree angle. Connect those 2 points. And you'll notice mine doesn't quite create a triangle because I didn't draw my initial line big enough. So I'm going to take that initial line, kind of going over into that other box, but that's okay. I'm going to connect those and label angle B is 80 degrees. And it is helpful at the end to go back and make your lines darker, the lines that actually create that triangle. And the name of this triangle is triangle ABC. So this is A, this is B. That means that this point here has to be C. And last but not least, question 7. Again, we've got triangle ABC. Angle A is 40 degrees. Angle B is 60 degrees. And AB has to be 6 centimeters again. So I'm going to start with my point. I'm going to put my point down here. I'm going to put it below the box just because I kind of ran over into my box a little bit. And draw my initial guideline. And I'm going to start with angle A, which is 40 degrees. So I'm going to call this A right here, so I know that's angle A. Put a dot at 40 degrees. connect them. And then since AV has to be 6 centimeters, I'm also going to measure right now from 0 up to about 6 centimeters on the button. And then I'm going to take my protractor and kind of help me make that line a little bit darker. So angle A is 40 degrees. This side right here is 6 centimeters from A to B. And last but not least, angle B has to be 60 degrees. So I'm going to go up to angle B with my protractor. Create a 60-degree angle. And I'm going to make sure to make it nice and dark right where those would intersect for your triangle. And I just created for myself triangle ABC. Angle B is 60 degrees. They didn't specify what C ended up having to be, so we don't have to worry about going back and measuring what C is, although we could figure out C. 60 plus 40 is 100, and I need to get up to 180, so C would actually have to be 80 degrees because these 3 interior angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. But it didn't say you had to do that, so